Like we lived the truth, but everyone knows everything else.
Or
everybody
they
knows
live
a
in
fake story.
They
Yeah.
live in a different
world.
reality. Yes,
Yeah.
it's
wild.
It's kind of cool at the same time, but it's all like, damn. So it just gets you to think like how many other historical figures.
Well, that's why I don't
lived.
like whenever I hear something on the news, I'm like, I don't
No
like
way,
I can't
right?
say for certain. Like I can
Yep.
listen to their arguments and I can make good inferences, sure. But at the same time, I can't take anything you say for face value. I have to see it myself.
Oh wait. Okay, so I think we definitely got to get back to the root of question though. So he was asking, when was the earliest that we
Yeah.
I
was just trying to
stopped like kind of believing in that kind of information or
like the media,
believing
the
it at face
news.
value.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess I've always had a hard time with believing it at face value. Okay.
I was pretty arrogant, or
I'd say probably about middle of high school, somewhere around there, in the middle of high school somewhere.
Was there a certain event that you're all like, there's no way?
Well, I used to watch a lot of. Okay, you know who the Young Turks are, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I used to watch a lot of them back in the day, and then I started eventually they just started to get like weird, and it started almost to seem like it was less about the facts of the story and more about the feelings of the story.
There's a bias.
Yeah, it was.
Okay.
It was like we're gonna. It's not about, hey, this is what happened. It's, hey, this is bad. This is bad, and you should think that way.
We're worried, so you should worry.
Yeah,
sort
yeah.
of thing.
You don't need to know what exactly happened. All you need to know is that there was a party and somebody almost got raped, and this man saved him. That's it. That's all you need to know.
Yeah.
And it's a bad situation, and all these other people involved are bad. But when you start looking down into the situation, you see how there are people who aren't bad, or the situation may be slightly different. It was focused more on feeling rather than the news itself.
Yeah,
Okay.
their emotions
Yeah.
and whatnot.
And that's where I started to fall out of that shit. And then I started to see how a lot of news networks, like when I watch news, I like Fox, but I understand that Fox is really biased, and they portray their message.
They
very
all are in
carefully.
their own way.
But they
thing-
all are.
Yeah.
The reason I think Fox is a little bit different, Fox is open like, hey, we are conservative, by the way. We are a conservative network. This is the view we're going to give you as the conservative version. Whereas a lot of others is all like, we're not biased. Here's the news.
Oh yeah.
I don't. They put their spin to it, then they're all like, we are not biased.
Yeah, no,
that's what I don't like.
Yeah. No, okay. So, I guess for me, in my personal situation, I'm gonna say probably around sixth grade.
That was early, man.
Well, because me and Jake and Tyler, we were all good buddies and everything. But me and Jake, more often than not, we felt like the only two metalheads in a redneck school. So we already felt like we were in the outcast of the know, if that makes any sense. And so we started like debating things between each other, So it was like, for instance, I remember I had a huge issue with history in school, and the fact that history, one of the things I always wanted, me and Jake used to talk about this all the time too, was that I wanted to get a German history book and read their version of World War II.
Sure. That's interesting.
Because I knew then, and I still know now, history is written by the winners.
The victors.
And so, because I think what, kind of like sparked that, like I said, there was just too much of this whole, a lot like what he was saying. Don't do things are bad, not going to go into detail why. And it's like, that doesn't...
I'm only gonna give you the details that would help you believe what I believe.
Yeah, exactly. And I was like, I never liked that. I never liked that approach. And one of the things like I used to debate about was, what if we never even have wars? What if they just tell us we're going to war?
Wait,
so that we funnel money to them.
Oh, like what we're doing now?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, how would you know it's happening other than being there in person?
That goes for anything,
Or
right?
taking
Exactly.
an account of somebody else who is there, which is why we have to put our soldiers on the ground sometimes, so we can actually have accounts of what's happening.
Yep.
Because anybody can fabricate a story. We could go out here right now and make it. We could make a fucking video that make it look like we get robbed and like at gunpoint and stuff.
Yep.
And it could be very, very convincing. But that doesn't mean that it's necessarily true.
Yep.
So they would have to send somebody out to investigate. And this is why allegations aren't taken at face value every time. That's why an investigation is so important. And like people, like especially when it comes to the court systems and people making allegations, like even with the Mr. B shit and everything.
Yep.
There's a lot of really heavy allegations thrown out there, and I'm not saying one way or the other, but I'm waiting for the information to come out that's convincing enough to make sense.
And it's intriguing at this point just to see how far they've managed to bury some of this information.
Oh, there's
it's
that.
Wild.
I want to chime in with. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, and yeah, I was just basically. I'll finish it right there. It's like seeing how far they've gone, and all the measures and steps they've taken to try to cover their trails. It's almost like a meticulous. Like you have to take time to do that.
That's criminal behavior, though.
No, it is. Well, it's kind of like how I've always felt like about lying in the first place. I was like, man, to lie is really exhausting versus telling the truth, because you have to not only tell that lie, but you have to maintain that lie.
You have
And
to
every
remember
lie that
You have to
bounces
remember
off
that.
it.
You have to almost believe the lie yourself.
Well, a lie creates more lies, right?
Uh-huh.
It's a web. So, well, as I was just gonna say, what I don't like, especially, and this comes in with the whole, let's say recent news stories of like the shootings or any stabbings. Like, I don't like the fact that they only put out so much information, and then they make sure everyone gets riled up, and they be like, oh yeah, here's a little bit more. And it's like they do it purposely. I get it. They got to have some sort of information for news. I get that. But
no, I, see
I
what
don't
you mean,
like-
though.
I don't
Almost
like the
the
fact-
hype's dying down. Let me feed them a little bit more.
yeah,
Okay.
I don't like the whole, instead of getting down to the bottom of it, hey, here's all the facts. This is all we could obtain. Here, y'all take that and run.
Yeah.
Compared to, here's one fact. Here might be another fact, maybe.
Well, here's one fact.
this.
Let's see how you guys receive that.
Perceive it, yes.
And if it isn't received by the masses like we like, then we'll throw a fact in there that's going to sway them into believing the way we want them to
Yep.
believe.
I don't like people leaving out information, too. That's a form of lying.
I think